Good morning. My name is Adrien, Heredia, and I can't wait to share my senior project with you guys. So basically my senior project was I created a voice men group in the middle school, basically teaching about leadership, role models, maturity, and basically the transition into high school, getting them ready for that. My essential question was, what are the steps to creating a voice men group in the middle school? So, my project directly connects with the mission statement because by doing these meetings, I gave these kids ample opportunity to improve themselves and give them a head start on what they'll be experiencing next year and throughout the 4 years of high school. My project overview. So basically what I'll be getting into is the research. I did lesson planning for these meetings, meeting with the middle school principal and the staff, basically getting all the logistics and getting permission slips out to the kids, getting the sign-up sheets for it and everything like that, and informing the parents and doing group sessions. Why I chose this topic. So, in the beginning, I originally decided I was going to do a flag football thing like Patrick was going to do, and I was going to get a plaque. But when I went to do my proposal, you guys brought this idea, and I loved it. So I just took it and ran with it. So basically, one of the main points was my experience. Personally, I struggled my first 2 years of high school. It was a rough transition. I was fairly new to Millis when I first got into high school, so it was like a rocky transition for me. Also, sophomore year was terrible because of COVID, so it was just basically a whole journey. But also my athletics. So I am an athlete. I've played sports all 4 years of high school. I was a captain of the football team this past year. Some of these boys look up to me. I've known them because whether I've done a football clinic with them, seen my basketball tryouts, so I already had some sort of relationship with these kids. I learned valuable leadership lessons and from these coaches that I've had, and which is one of the reasons why I try to implement this and put this in the lessons as much as I can to try and do some sort of extracurricular activity because it can do nothing but benefit you in the long run. This is a great need in the middle school. This is probably why it was brought to me. I could see there was a lack of some of these skills that I was teaching in the middle school. Students, I feel like, will listen to high school students like me because it's not more like, oh, it's a teacher talking to you. It's more like your friend and someone who you can go to for advice and someone you know and you're comfortable with. It's kind of like a safe space for each course. My mentor. So my mentor was Mr. Coffey. He obviously teaches in the high school. He's an English teacher. He also has a pretty strong relationship with these kids because his son, Owen, he's in the middle school. He also coached for the football team, the middle school football team. So he has very good connections with a lot of these kids. He also has a lot of the same passions that I do. We both obviously played sports in high school. We love football. We just love getting around, being around these kids. So I feel like we bonded together and molded together and making these lessons plans and stuff. He was very experienced and gave me really good advice on teaching because obviously I'd never done that before and I need to know how to make it stick with these kids so it's not just another meeting or in a one block and they can actually learn and benefit from these meetings. So the timeline of my project. So I first started off, I needed to do research on what I was actually going to be teaching the boys. So things like leadership, when maturity really starts in these type of kids in the middle school. And not only the research, what I was going to be teaching these kids, but how to teach them and what strategies I can use to try and get these kids to be invested in what I'm trying to teach them. The second part was more the preparation for the meetings, meeting with Mr. Dupre, the middle school principal, and lesson planning and sending permission slips out to parents and creating a sign-up sheet for the kids who wanted to participate in this and making sure the kids were eligible, that they had good grades and stuff like that to participate. The third part was more planning the actual lessons finding activities that I think would be fun that they would want to do, managing the time, finding my peers, my fellow football captains to try and come and help me with this presentations, give them the advice, so it's not just one person talking to them, they get different perspectives of it. And the final part was doing the actual meetings. They were held in the library, they were during their wind block, which is a period around an hour, it's from 125 to 220. I had them held in the library, in there, and yeah, it was a good time, we did a lot of fun activities in there. Okay, so my research. So like again, my research also did not just include the content, included how I was teaching it. The three main keys were leadership skills, character, and work ethic. So these skills, I feel like will help their transition because this is something that I felt like I needed when I was in 8th grade. These skills will not only help you in high school, but once you get out of that 4 year and you're in the real world, whether it be college, a job, whatever it may be. So the lack of leadership can create negative effects on these kids, and I'm trying to create leaders in these kids and trying to make them a positive role model in the high school, like someone they can look up to. Like, for example, like one of the kids maybe wanted to do football, like they wanted to, I know one of the kids wanted to be a football captain. One day he came up to me and he was talking to me about that. And I just want to be an outlet for these kids to help them succeed in meeting their goals. So, my failures and struggles. So, I would say some of the struggles I had was setting up the meetings with the middle school principal, because we both had very different schedules, and he's also a principal, so he's very busy with meetings and stuff like that, making sure the kids are ready. But we managed to find time like after school, and also finding time to do the actual meetings because the kids were in class. But so they had a wind block, which is basically like our flex block, but like longer, and it's at the end of the day. And they do like help support blocks and stuff like that. And I had them sign up for mine, and if they were eligible, they could participate. And I feel like another struggle was creating interactive like lessons, making them want to come in. So it's not like I'm forcing them to come, or Mr. Dupre told them to do it, so they have to go. I want them to feel comfortable and have fun while we're doing this, so it's not just another one block. A reflection, I would say it was a lot more planning than I anticipated, and despite all the work and planning and permission slips and work at the middle school principal, I felt like it was all worth it because it was a really great group of kids and they really had fun with it. And I got nothing but positive feedback from them, so I'd say it was a success. And I would say through the feedback I received, a project like this can change a high school experience. Once you have that boost to get through that freshman and sophomore year, I feel like junior and senior year can be a breeze. Because I feel like when I was in high school, I didn't really start to get used to it until it was like my junior year, once we got back from COVID. So these kids also had COVID, so just trying to push them and get them the experience that they need is everything that I feel like I need to teach them. So, my successes. I wanted to leave a long-term impact on these kids, so it's not only a thing about freshman year or just transitioning to high school, but something that they can use throughout their whole life. These skills can be taken like past high school. These boys can set an example for other boys in their grade, like because I only had 15 boys, and I feel like the whole middle school as a whole could use this. So once I teach these boys, they can pass it along to people in their groups and people in grades below them, like the 7th and the 6th grade. Relationships. I formed a lot of new relationships with these boys and students. I had known most of them through sports and activities, but I've also built on former relationships that I knew these kids from, and becoming closer with Mr. Caulfield was a fantastic experience, getting closer with him and sharing our love for trying to be a role model for these kids. And I discovered a new passion for teaching and trying to be a role model for younger kids. It really kind of found a soft spot in me a little bit. I'd like to give a thank you to Mr. Caulfield for being a mentor, giving me all the right advice and everything I needed to be successful in teaching these kids. Mr. Dupre for helping me organize and send out all the logistics and permission slips and stuff like that. Mr. Boise and Mr. Carter for letting me use a space in the library to hold these meetings, and Mr. Bartley, Mr. Bigelow, and Ms. Fuller Brown for giving me this idea, because I don't think I would have done this without you guys, so thank you to you. This is my work cited.